what's up guys, Benny here and welcome to the best MAC-10 class setup and loadout in Call of Duty Warzone. 30 brand new weapons got added last week with the Black Ops Cold War integration with Warzone, and every day now it seems like a brand new weapon is being found as the meta is being figured out as we progress into the season. But the one standout performer for everyone, I think from day one, is the MAC-10. Now the gameplay that you're going to be watching in this is by Wars, who manages to go and drop 45 kills. His link is down in the description below for you to go check him out. But he drops 45 kills using the MAC-10. Now in this video, I'm also going to give you the best class setup and loadout to use with the MAC-10, so you can go and set it up for yourself and you know which attachments that you need to get. But I also think it's very important that when you go to use a weapon, you know how to get the best out of it. What are its strengths? What are the weaknesses? So that you can approach gunfights knowing that you've got the highest chance of winning. And this gameplay is a great example of this. Now, he's also using the Kilo with his MAC-10. Now, one of the reasons that the Kilo is still so good, it's still one of the best assault rifles, though there are talks that it's got a little bit of a nerf. And that was actually the first time we see the MAC-10 being used. And it just drops people so quickly because the MAC-10 has a ridiculously high fire rate paired with a high damage output, which is a common factor with a lot of the Cold War weapons. They're harder hitting than a lot of the Modern Warfare weapons, though a little bit harder to control. But for some reason, the MAC-10, with the right build and setup, is so easy to use. And the iron sight is quite nice as well, though the build that Wars is using an optic. So I'm going to give you both variations later on in the video so you know exactly which one to use depending on your preference. But one of the great things here, and one of the reasons I love watching Wars play, is the constant usage, like how you use your weapons, like when you use your assault rifle and when you use your SMG, like up close in quarters and buildings, like the MAC-10 there, it just drops people so quickly. There's just nothing they can really do. So when you're doing this, also like when you're approaching a building, when you go to a stair, kind of stop at the top, scan, don't be caught in a sprint as you go into a potential gunfight. And something else you actively want to be doing when you're using the MAC-10 is going for those upper body and then flicking up towards the head. Because of the fast fire rate, you've got kind of like a lot of bullets going out at the same time, so you can land those shots. But then when you're getting into gunfights like this at mid distance, make sure you're using your assault rifle. You don't want to be caught using your SMG in those like larger distance fights. So many times I'll run into people in the open who start shooting at me over distance with an SMG. It's not going to work like that. It's why using amped is such a key perk within Warzone, because you're constantly going to want to be switching between the weapons that perform best at different distances. Like if you're using a sniper, at the moment, I probably wouldn't recommend using an SMG, because though it's been common practice in Warzone so far to run like an MP7 with like a Kar 98 with the Black Ops Cold War weapons, you might be better running over far. But the MAC-10 is the best close quarters SMG. And the meta is still, I feel, if you're going for high kill games and victories, having an assault rifle SMG. So if you want to use the Kilo or the Krig, I will be having videos on all these weapons going forward, but that is the perfect combination with the MAC. And then when you push into a building like this, you can start hip firing and just drop people. Like that was someone who was fully plated. Down the first one, his teammate was fully plated, and the time to kill is ridiculous. And it's one of the reasons whenever you see a gunfight going forward in MAC-10, hold the position, be ready for an opponent, and then you can flick, pre-aim, drop down. He's even got the first shots on him, and you can see how easy it is to control. Though for the first time, I have no idea what Wars is deciding to do there. He's just like jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't want to be doing that. He got caught out. But once again, switching to use the assault rifle, when you take someone down at that distance, you know their teammates are going to react and try and push you. So he switches to the SMG for a more close quarters combat. Now, that is one thing with the MAC-10, which is one of the reasons I think it's also one of the best weapons, is it has already been changed a little bit, but it doesn't have that high a bullet drop off. So you can take enemies down at a like kind of those short to medium distances very, very quickly, which is perfect. And because of that low recoil, you can beam people. Like I said, assault rifle's always going to win at this sort of distance, but when they close that gap in kind of buildings or kind of around certain structures, switch to that MAC-10, use it. And like the version that that Wars actually using is a great leveling up version. The MAC-10 that he's actually using to drop 45 kills isn't actually the optimum build, which I'm going to give you towards the end of this gameplay, because like honestly, he's using just a standard optic. He's not got the agency suppressor on there, which we all now know is a new monolithic suppressor. I'm so excited because I was looking at the attachments for so long ago, like, I don't understand how to set these guns up. Like, why would you use this? You can't. I wasn't even like, why use a suppressor? You couldn't, because it would just make the weapon so useless in comparison to the Modern Warfare. But the agency suppressor has changed that, has made the weapons a lot better. Even though, like, once you throw it onto the MAC-10, for example, you get that increased damage range, which does make it a bit of a beamer. It competes with the MP7. It competes with the it destroys the MP5, to be perfectly honest with you. But you still want to be switching up your guns. Like, it's one of the biggest things I can stress. Like, you can see how quickly you can drop people, and the way that Wars approaches gunfights with the MAC-10, it's very clever. It's like, if always look at how he's constantly scanning and what I like to call centering his crosshairs. Whenever he's moving around the map, especially with like the MAC-10, you'll see he's not sprinting there. He knows an engagement, then disengages. It's one of the most important things. Sees the other player running towards him. Does a great little bunny hop up there to kind of push out. I really want to see this, because this is something you want to add to your game. You don't always want to just be sprinting around like a madman. That's what so many people do. It's a mistake. Going in there, hip firing, does that, gets it down. Now, when you down someone, most of the time their teammate's going to run at you. And because Wars had his plates off, he tries to disengage going the way that he'd come from, knowing it's more likely safe. However, the enemy team is flanking, so he gets caught out there, instantly turns around, jumps around the corner, knows he has to challenge now, bunny hops, and with that MAC-10, with that ridiculous fire rate, he takes him out. Now, one of the big things is when someone runs around a corner, normally, when you're shooting someone around a corner, think about it, right? You start sprinting to chase them. It's a great chance for you to then jump back out and catch them unaware, take advantage of the MAC-10 fire rate. Also, once again, 3 teammates. He's now disengaging to go round and like get a different angle. Always work the different angles, knowing that that enemy team is going to be pushing. And there we go. You've got the next teammate. Easy kills. Reposition, and always think about trying to pull attention towards you. Great use of stun grenades, and once again, throwing that bunny hop in with a MAC-10, really, really good way to use it. And then here, sees the opponent coming towards him. It's not MAC-10 distance, it's more mid-range, so switches to his kilo, and then uses the gap in the fence to get those shots off. And then perfect. And then always switches to that MAC-10 for moving. Because remember, when you've got your MAC-10 out, you've got the highest mobility with your class setup, which means you're going to be able to move around the map faster. You're going to be able to dodge bullets, all that sort of jazz that you want with an SMG. You don't want to be running around with a kilo. You're just going to be slow. Like, whether it's a kilo LMG, there's more benefits to an SMG rather than just having a ridiculous fast time to kill. And there we go. Also, with the UAV up there, he managed to see that because he brought his teammates back, play off people's behavior. He knows those guys are going to run towards the buy station. So he waited till he got into the close proximity, hopped out, took out the kills with the kilo. Once again, use that assault rifle for mid-range, knowing that you've got your MAC-10 in your back pocket. Second you start to push, switches to the MAC-10, keeps his crosshairs on the corner, because that is where you're going to want to start shooting straight away if someone pops out. Sees an enemy player, changes the angle so he's unpredictable and can buy a few seconds. Here's the res. Then jumps back out. All these little things you want to be adding to your game when you're using the MAC-10, and you will see a significant improvement. Also, just remember, like, this is one of the biggest things I've noticed. You need to put the practice in. Like, I'm a pretty good player, and I've seen over the past couple of weeks as I was competing for the tournament, we came second in day one of the subliner to 100k subliner tournament, and just that consistency and like kind of getting those reps and the way that you play these final circles, and also watching videos like this will help you, because one of the big things I'm always looking is how do you engage a gunfight. So here you can see the final circle. Most likely people are going to be set up. Your odds are, with 3 squads left, is one's going to be on the roof and then one's going to be down low because they're not engaging. So you can kind of like process that. Sees the player here. Now, this is actually a mistake by Wars. Gets taken out here. Luckily enough, Almond is there to cover him up. But look at what the mistake is. And like, if you can guess what it is, do make sure to let me know down in the comments. But what does he do here that makes him go down? So you'll see pushes. Down's the first one. Now, normally, throughout this entire gameplay, we always see him anticipate the next person challenging. Sees the shadow, snaps up, but because he was shooting down to thirst the opponent, the other guy could get those shots off and beat him in like that 50-50 gunfight. Still unfortunate. Thankfully, Armand's there to back him up. Get some plates on. Also, you don't always necessarily need to get all your plates on. If your teammate's going in, you're better off challenging with them, helping them out can make a difference. Armand takes it out there. Manages to get him without taking much of a scratch. Brilliant use of the MAC-10. Also, when you're in a final circle, don't force it. Make people play into your hands. So here, they know their guy's on the roof. Gonna have to push towards them. Gets on the edge, because he could have been hidden somewhere else, but gets to the edge so then you know he has to approach you. You've got one underneath. Like, look at the team position of both Almond and Wars. You've got one underneath kind of of the far circle, and then you've got one opposite, so you can play both the angles. So if, for example, Wars does get taken out, they're going to know exactly where it is and perfect. But takes them off the roof. The MAC-10 is ridiculous. So I really want to stress out. It is such a good weapon that you're going to want to be using. And I'm going to give you my class setup now and loadout that you have to use. Now, this is the MAC-10 that you're going to want to be using in Warzone. On the muzzle, you've got that agency suppressor for sound suppression and increased damage range. Now, I can't tell you how happy I am to see that. Sadly, it's not called monolithic, but you know, we'll have to take it. For the barrel, this was actually one of the hardest choices. Like, I kind of was torn between the rifled and the task force barrel for some time, but you want to go for the 5.9 Task Force barrel. It's that increased damage, effective damage range, and bullet velocity. 3 key stats for Warzone. You definitely want to do this. Yes, you have to wait to the end to unlock it. If you have to, go for the reinforced heavy until you unlock the Task Force barrel. Then on the underbarrel, it's a pretty easy choice once again. Go for the field agent grip. If you're just leveling it up, go for the foregrip, but the field agent grip is the one that you want in the end. Then for the ammo, I go for the Salvo 53 round fast mag. Just more bullets, take down multiple people, especially when you're playing trios and quads. You really want to have this. The other choice is the 43 round speed mag. So use that until you get the Salvo 53 round mag. Then our final choice is the rear grip, where we use the airborne elastic wrap. Now, some people will go, why use that over the SASR jungle grip? But the airborne elastic wrap actually gives you a faster aim down sight time and flinch resistance than the other, and you just kind of ignore the aim while going prone, because as we all know, you can all aim while going prone whilst playing Warzone. So those are the attachments. If you do really want to use an optic, get rid of the airborne elastic and then you can add an optic of choice in. But personally, I think the iron sight's quite clean, so I keep it like that. And then for me personally, I paired it with a DMR 14. Ridiculous, by the way. I've got a video coming on that very soon. So you're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed. But that is my MAC-10 class setup that you're going to want to be using. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Smash that like button and I will see you next time. Bye.